Welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning on Channels Television, and we're broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. Today on the program, our conversation is going to be centered around the money market, and specifically we're going to be looking at how the suspension of Sanusi, the CBN governor, actually affected the market. And I'm being joined on the program by the Executive Secretary, Financial Market Dealers Association, Wale Abe, and Arize Nwobo. He's a chartered stockbroker and financial analyst. Gentlemen, good morning, and thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure. Good morning.
Mr. Abe, I will start with you. Why do you think the market reacted the way it did when that news actually hit it about the suspension of the CBN governor?
Well, any market that is transparent and is efficiently driven will react the same way. Any market is information driven, and so the kind of reaction that we observed very, very normal.
Mr. Nwobo, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, you see, market reactions, sometimes go beyond that. It has a lot to do with the level of confidence that is reposed on who is at the top of affairs. And my impression is that Sanusi commands confidence in the market, both locally and internationally.
Some would argue with you because, you see, since he became the CBN governor, he's through various tightening, brought up some different policies in ways that have tightened liquidity on the market, and even though he says he has managed to maintain exchange rate stability and the rest of it, we're still seeing issues of how the currency is traded. And from what you say, that's not probably...
No, it is. Let me tell you, if anyone without deep technical insights may not understand what Sanusi did, he's somebody who had total phobia for market burst. I think he studied Alan Greenspan very deeply and decided not to commit the same kind of faux pas that Alan Greenspan committed. Alan Greenspan was a wonderful Fed chairman, but he had some blind spots which he agreed to himself and testified to in the Congress, because of his laissez-faire attitude to the market. That laissez-faire attitude had a lot of negative implications. And a lot of folks here may not know that. It takes some kind of deep research to get to know that. He presided over a very long period of economic and financial boom, and he was loved in the US. He was christened Washington resident wizard. Yes, but Alan Greenspan had some blind spots. Because of his laissez-faire attitude, he believed that financial institutions could regulate themselves, and that was a costly mistake. You find all sorts of products, sophisticated derivatives, too complex to understand by people, being fashioned out, and then that triggered a lot of negative impact on the market.
Okay, so Mr. Lamido Sanusi was able to look at all of this and ensure that what happened in Alan Greenspan's case.
That's right, because they have one thing in common. Alan Greenspan came in 1987 when there was a stock market crisis. He did everything possible to make sure that it did not degenerate. He succeeded. Sanusi came during the US global financial crisis, which affected partly the Nigerian capital market. So they have those two things in common.
Well, getting back to the issue now, Mr. Abe, when the news actually hit the market, we saw that the foreign exchange market, the forex market, the market generally, except for the capital market, actually shut down for a while. Was it all about the suspension, or was there another piece of news that actually hit the market?
I mean, like he said earlier, the leadership provided by Lamido Sanusi to the central bank is one in the last 4 or 5 years that we knew clearly the direction it was going. And don't forget that he came from a risk management background. And so what the central bank at that point in time had set out clearly that among other things that they wanted to create a kind of financial system that is stable. So all through the years, aside from the issues of restructuring the banking system, financial system, and all of those,
and
the monetary policy direction was very clear. The first 2 years was that of having to relax the monetary policy, but thereafter it has been tightening and tightening and tightening, and that created stability in the markets. But you shouldn't forget the fact that periodically you have occasions of volatility occasioned by maybe information or the fact that our own financial system is not immune to what happens externally. So all of those impacted. However, so is removal through suspension, therefore, when it was announced, jolted everybody in the market, both segments of the market, whether you are in the financial, in the capital market or you are in the money market, it never mattered. The reality was that, like I said, once there is a jolt in the system, then obviously everyone will react.
So for those 2 days, how much was actually lost?
It is difficult to quantify. It's not a question of even 2 days, but it's difficult to quantify. The reality of it was that, look, don't forget that we have a lot of international investors. But be that as it may, you discover that I think 2 or 3 days after, you had the coordinating minister of finance coming to reassure that the policy direction will remain the same. And you had a statement issued by the central bank, indicating that the monetary policy will remain the same, and pressure which was brought to bear on the naira as a result of exit of foreign investors. There was a kind of reassurance too that the central bank had enough, to defend. To ensure that investors' interests are protected.
Yes, which is what we noticed, because on Thursday, the Central Bank of Nigeria actually intervened in the market with about $600 million.
There had been, I will tell you, there had been between November and December last year, average AFDAS was about 350. However, which totaled about $4.1 billion. However,
that's between November and December.
Yes, but however, between January and December, January and till February 17th or so, total was about $4.9 billion. And average had been between 350 to 400. On February 17th specifically, you had a 600 million, sales, which was offered, and that would tell you the pressure, that but with the reassurance, what has happened, and that's why you had the kind of stability coming back into the FX market in particular.
Stability, because even for on the Thursday when the news actually hit the market, the Central Bank of Nigeria offered $600 million as well, and it sold at about 100. At the interbank it was about 163 naira. Now, based on the fact that the Central Bank of Nigeria, the acting CBN governor, Dr. Sera Alade, is saying that whatever it is that has happened will not affect how trade is actually done on those markets, and that the Central Bank of Nigeria will continue to intervene and make sure that the market stays afloat. Are we going to see the local currency drop from its current level?
Well, we can take a short-term view and we can take a long-term view. I think the question has been posed, I think around December here, if Naira will be devalued. And I said, what my view is that I do not think Naira will be devalued. However, it is not impossible that we're going to witness pressure on the Naira, as a result of which you are likely to have Naira change at I mean, you have the Naira taking a beating. There is no doubt about that. But there are a lot of other fundamentals which are obviously responsible for that.
Well, Mr. Rebo, in your estimation, we would know that the Minister of Finance, the Coordinating Minister of the Economy and Minister of Finance, as well as the acting CBN governor, actually came out to reassure investors that everything that has happened, and Mr. Abe just also mentioned it, will not really be felt so much, because both arms are going to make sure that they protect the market as much as they can, and there wouldn't be any lessening of the tightening that we've seen as regards policy. But how much of a confidence boost did that give to investors?
Yeah, you see, sometimes people fail to realize that markets are not often driven strictly by hard facts or market fundamentals. There is also the human aspect of it, what I call the socio-psychological dynamics of markets. Human beings, naturally, we are subjective and we are sentimental. And I'll go back to Alan Greenspan. He's a mathematician. He has always seen things in terms of hard figures. Until Ayn Rand, an objectivist philosopher, opened her eyes, and then he got to realize that sentiments sometimes work a lot in markets. He discovered that fear is a very potent force in markets. So now what I'm trying to arrive at is that, yes, the Minister of Finance could come out and make her statements. Yeah, it could add a measure of confidence to the market. But there is more to what drives the market. The socio-psychological dynamics is very important. And then if you look at how foreign investors reacted, they reacted rather very drastically. Why? Because they are sentimental about Sanusi.